Formula One.
That says it all.
Yeah.
We've got a Formula One driver, Max Verstappen. He lines up. It's his first time, the 17-year-old. He's already graduated, but it's graduation day for the rest of them as they all want to beat Max. But first, they've got to get past Felix Rosenqvist, who starts in pole position. Rosenqvist's fifth visit. He's never won. There's so many men with reasons to want to win. Lucas Auer, nephew to Gerhard Berger, who was on the podium here in '83. Out go the lights, they held it for a while. Lucas Auer got away well, but the leader and his Rosenqvist, poleman, got away. Good clean start from everybody, but Rosenqvist came across the line to protect himself from Lucas Auer, and as they head down towards the Mandarin for the first time, everybody spreading out, but Rosenqvist just about with the advantage. But here comes Lucas Auer. Auer's got the lead as they go into Mandarin. Oh, and somebody's stuck on the grid. That's number 2. Big crash.
Galil that just touched the wall.
I think it was Galil, but has kept on going, I think.
Yeah, it's amazing. Very lucky.
Whoa.
So it's Auer leading in front of Verstappen, Rosenqvist third, and then I think it's Blomqvist.
Whoa, big smash.
Okay. Oh, and again, the two Carlin car, I think it's Galil and Giovinazzi that have touched wheels. Yeah, something's going to happen at the back. I saw a front wing flying, so that's not good. There's going to be slow cars in the middle of the mountain section.
And Alan Verstappen had a great start.
Yeah, I thought he was going to lead at some stage. He was around the outside. They made it 3 cars aligned through Grand Lap. It was amazing. Auer seems to be taking off. He's already got nearly a second lead in front of Verstappen and Rosenqvist. Interestingly, Rosenqvist is super fast in the mountain section, but he wasn't that fast in the straight line.
Ah, tap there.
William Bullock front wing is gone.
That's just what you didn't need.
And the two Carlin cars.
And number 22, it was Marcus Palmer, Alan, that got stuck on the grid, and that's just frightening as heck, isn't it?
Yeah, and unfortunately that car was stricken while we were looking at the action. Unfortunately left all alone was number 22, Marcus Palmer, the German Formula 3 champion from 2014. And now Lucas Auer heads the field down from the hairpin up to complete lap number 1. He got away very impressively on the warm-up lap, and I was interested, Bruce, that you said that Felix Rosenqvist did not get away too much. Would that affect the mental way that you go about 1 lap later, having to do the race proper start?
Yeah, for sure. It's great confidence if you manage to do well on the tractor start, and you have your marker, and you know how much throttle you need to put, you know how quick you can release the clutch, and when it doesn't happen, it's clearly a downfall for you.
Great lap from Lucas Auer, 2:19.3 to set his stall out ahead of Verstappen with a 2:20.4. Their line astern as they go down towards the Mandarin corner. Tense moments in this qualification race with just 9 laps to go. Lucas Auer, what a busy month he's had. If you don't know the Austrian, he has been a busy bee. He's raced in Asia, he's raced in New Zealand, he's raced in Europe, and in fact he was racing in Austin as Verstappen, under pressure from Rosenqvist, holds the line at Lisboa, and Max Verstappen holds on to second place, but Rosenqvist, the Swede, is not so cool at the moment, and he's going to take it to the Dutchman as they head out the hill to San Francisco.
We have to say that in the straight line, even though Rosenqvist wasn't flying in the first sector, the Mercedes is really strong in the straight line. They've been the quickest in the first sector, which is only a 2.6 kilometer stretch. So Rosenqvist has the capacity of overtaking Max Verstappen if he's close enough when he starts the beginning of the straight.
He's setting himself up nicely for it, Bruce, because he's all over the back of Verstappen as they head up towards the top of the circuit, and getting a good exit from the Melco hairpin will put him in a good position to be able to jink out and take a position away from the very fast starting Max Verstappen.
Problems for the 16.
Yeah, the Carlin cars, number 16, I think it is Galil.
Yeah, he was the one who came through Mandarin, just tapped the wall there.
Yep.
I thought it was going to be a major shunt for everybody, because if he'd gone any further off, he was going to take a lot of people with him.
There's number 10 cars once just at the exit of that corner. But as we're talking, Lucas Auer is really pulling a gap. It doesn't show so much at the Melco, but once it goes away, yeah, you can really see the gap as Rosenqvist is following.
Well, in fact, you can see his second sector was a second quicker than Verstappen.
Yeah, absolutely. And now Rosenqvist is pretty close to Verstappen, and he's going to set himself up for a nice tour again in the long straight.
Well, I would catch our breath. Let's keep an eye. I want to keep an eye on several of the other guys making their way through, and I want to put a shout out to Roberto Meri of Spain. He's up to 6th place. He's another man who desperately wants to win. And as Bruce said, you know, he's in DTM now. He's long gone. He doesn't need to be in Formula 3, but he's come back, and he's come back with Double R Racing. And he is determined, and he's coming through, and he knows this race all too well. This is his 6th visit. Now Rosenqvist lining himself up. Verstappen sways to the outside to take the matter in, but he's not close enough, I don't think. Although he's getting a little bit of a toe now. Maybe making a lunge at the Lisboa, but Verstappen defends well. Rosenqvist tries to outbrake him, and will he go through it? He's messed it up. Oh, he's got to be careful, Felix.
He clearly flat-spotted his 2 front tires. He tried to brake super late, but then he was super safe because he could have tried to squeeze in a little bit, but just went straight. Gave plenty of room to Verstappen to make a corner and for himself to go back without touching the wall. So that's a clever move.
I think he was lucky to get away with that.
And he's also blown it. He's got to make a lot of time up now down the S's through the Solitude S's, because Verstappen doesn't need a second request. He's off.
He's got that to do on square tyres now. I would imagine those tyres are going to be well past their best.
Yep, they are. Clearly, it's not going to be helpful anywhere, not even in the straight, because once you have a flat spot, you go again on the brakes. If you hit the brake hard, you're going to find that flat spot again, and you're going to make it worse, etc., etc. So it's not good for your confidence either.
He's made a difficult race for himself, hasn't he?
Yep.
And while we concentrate on the leaders, I want to keep you up to date with the guys coming through. Blomqvist is in 4th position at the moment. Ocon is 5th. Meri still up to 6th. Cassidy still there in 7th. Latifi, then King 9th. Coletti 10th. Fuoco is in 11th place. Sorellas in 12th. And Ferrucci in 13th position.
What's going to be interesting is a bit of a fight between King and Coletti within the top 10, because Coletti is flying in the straight and King was quick in the mountain section but not so fast in the straight. So there's going to be action happening at the back as well, and I'm sure we're going to see some nice overtaking maneuvers.
Well, Lucas Auer really is pushing on. 2:13.7 last time, and he's just gone purple in the 2nd sector again. So he is using this time to really lay down some laps. He's been a busy bee, not only in his career, but in the last few weeks. I bumped into him at Qatar airport, and I said, "Where have you been?" He said, "I've been racing for Lotus in the WEC." And of course, he was on the podium there in Austin as well, saw him there. He then went to a 3.5 by Renault test last week in Spain, I believe.
Yep.
And then he's back here just a week later. So this is the kind of world these guys live. They're in airport lounges and having to bump into me, poor people. But Lucas Auer really laying down some superb laps and showing Verstappen that he is as good, if not better today.
And also what's interesting is that the lap time, 2:13.2, which is Lucas' best so far, which is 5/10 quicker than Verstappen's best lap, is not very fast. Today the temperatures are very high and the circuit is really dirty, full of dust. There were some crashes earlier on with the GTs that we saw, and it's not really fast, so it must be tricky conditions out there with not a lot of grip.
Alan, anybody you're expecting to come through from the midfield here?
Well, King should come back up because he had a good result last year. He had the fastest lap of the race, and he's pretty fast. He's much quicker than the guys around in front of him, actually. Quicker than Latifi, quicker than Cassidy. Meri's fast as well, so those two, Meri, King, are coming back up.
Very, very impressed by Lucas Auer, 4th in the FIA European Championship this year, and look at him. The confidence that he's taken through from the start of the race. He got away from the line well on the green flag. That got away from the line brilliantly when the race got underway. He's got a gap. He's got an advantage over Verstappen of 2 seconds. He's got a clear track in front of him, so he'll pick the points at which he wants to position the car, and he's doing so absolutely beautifully at the moment.
Well, Lucas Auer is one driver I'm very, very familiar with, having done the JK Racing Asia Series where he was champion of that. Oh no! Verstappen is out of Macau with a puncture, and I think it's a self-inflicted one if I know Macau. But oh no!
He crashed.
He is crashed, and more crashes. Verstappen is out. So too is the number 8. It's all going on. McLeod, no surprise, but the big surprise, Max has gone to minus.
Well, on his own, I guess. It is a tricky track, and it's super tricky conditions today. Not a lot of grip out there, and there you go.
Oh!
First time in Macau. That means he's going to have to start last.
Well, and look.
And
oh no! And he's going to cause a red flag. Well.
Ooh, that's not good. Well, I guess he. Oh, no reverse, but he won't make the corner yet.
And he's going to get in trouble for reversing in the middle of a race as well.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Well, I said Macau is one of those races, and now the bell of the ball has just slipped heavily.
There's a headline for tonight. Goodness me.
Verstappen, not the boss in Macau.
So now we have Blomqvist back up there in third position, lapping pretty fast, and Rosenqvist, which has clean air in front of him, has just posted the fastest lap time.
Yeah, fastest lap, 2:12.944 for
This is on.
Rosenqvist. And now he's in second place to Lucas Auer.
So let's look at the order. It's Auer, Rosenqvist, Blomqvist, Ocon of France, Merry up to 5th, Cassidy now up to 6th, and King 7th. Latifi is 8th, Coletti is 9th, and Sorellis completes the top 10. They're continuing the race, as they should, and hopefully nobody is going to be more surprised than Max himself. Now the safety car comes out, as it should, but what a shame. And I'm disappointed. I mean, I said that Max had the target on his back, but I actually want to see him in full flight, to be honest. He's made a mistake or something's gone wrong. Let's not presume just yet. Anything could have happened, but when you see a puncture to the rear left like that, you can only you kind of presume that he's put the power down early and hit the barrier, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the tire wasn't on the rim anymore. The rim didn't look very straight to me, and he took off the corner of the car. So,
well, it's a familiar story. I remember Narain Karthikeyan had a massive lead here and did exactly the same thing.
Yeah, true. And he was
a few
third
years ago.
2002 was third and did it as well. But Narain was controlling the car sideways with the throttle all the time. He was doing magic with the car, so sometimes it doesn't work. But he had the track record for a very long time.
He did. Yeah. So, safety car now. Bruce, how do you go about the safety car? Obviously, you've got to keep tyres warm, but are you thinking all the time, right, I've got to keep an eye on when we're going to go and who and how you've got time to think about your tactics now?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, that's Max Verstappen coming out of his car. First, the front left corner and the rear left. So this looks to me like he just slid in straight into a wall.
So the Toro Rosso Formula One superstar is out.
Yep, and this Tom's car was probably towards the back of the race, so I don't see them coming together. I don't think that's possible because otherwise we would have seen them overtaking the Tom's car. Not sure. Left side, maybe. We don't know because this car is on the right side of the track, so it could have caught that car. Anyways, we'll know more a little bit later. When you're on the safety car, Jonathan, you have to obviously keep your tires and brakes up to temperature, but you have plenty of time. You see that the cars on track have been removed or not, so you kind of know when there's going to be a restart. Plus, you have your engineer talking to you on the radio and letting you know that it's going to be a green flag. And there you go, the first car is going to be...
Alan, while we've got a couple of moments, let's just go over the runners and riders as it stands. Lucas Auer leads this race. Rosenqvist, Blomqvist, and Ocon, Merry, Cassidy. Of that top 6, anybody? I mean, I'm impressed with Merry because he hasn't been around all weekend, but I knew, wily old fox that he is, he's at 23, mind. But he's been here enough. You know, he's now looking at this, going, okay, I'm in the show. Who else as you look at it? Cassidy's again. I'll keep talking about him because he's got a chance of a lifetime here.
Yeah, Mehi has had a great race so far, hasn't he? Up there in 5th place. I'm with Bruce on this one. Jordan King to do something about holding himself up from 7th. He's got good pace around here. As Bruce said, he got the fastest lap last year. He needs some kind of a break in his career for someone all of a sudden to say, Jordan King, I remember him. He was the chap who a couple of years ago, and then he won Macau.
Yes,
so
and he knows that.
That's the kind of thing that he needs from this weekend. He's currently down there in 7th place. A resumption of racing when the safety car comes in is going to be an opportunity to make up places.
That's a horrible sight, poor McLeod. That's the one thing he doesn't want to see is all his mates still getting to play while he's been put out of the sandbox.
Absolutely. I'm not quite sure if the safety car will wave the back markers out of the leader's way because there are about 6 cars, 7 cars that are
6 or 7 cars, aren't they?
Yeah, that are behind the safety car, which are the back markers basically.
How do they signal them from the?
They put a green on top of the safety car's lights. Now they're orange and they go green, and they wave past with their hand. They just go. Okay. But I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Thank you. We've got Bruce Giuliani.
Yeah.
See, that's why we asked him in. We're going to buy him a sandwich afterwards for that kind of knowledge.
Superb.
And so they're going to be all the way fast until they find the leader's car. The leader's car has to take time, and they will probably do 2 extra laps.
And Bruce, the reason you know all this, you raced here. You raced against the likes of Sato, am I right?
Yeah, there was a good bunch of guys out there. It's Sato, there was Anthony Davidson, Pierre Caffer, Jonathan Cochet, Yuji Ide, and more and more and more.
Yeah, a good bunch.
Good times.
So, trying to keep the temperature. You're watching the qualification race of the 61st Macau Grand Prix. Jonathan Green, Alan Hyde, and Bruce Giuliani, our special guest driver and mentor now to drivers like Will Buller, who's in this race but has struggled in qualifying. The safety car is out in the qualification race. It's a 10-lap race. We're on lap 6, and as you can see, the car's desperately trying to keep temperature. But the story that was going to be the headline has already become a different headline as cars starting to come into the pits. That's Sean Galal again, who's already been in trouble. I don't think he's going to be a factor. But the big story of this race and of the weekend and of the year, let's face it, he's the biggest news in Formula One. A week ago, hero on Friday practice at the Brazilian Grand Prix. Max Verstappen, sadly, down to 0. No Max this time.
No, Macau is like this. You're the newcomer, you want to race at the pace of the leaders, and he managed to do that, which is exceptional. But then the track beated him, yeah, that's how you say it?
It bit him, yes, absolutely. No question about it. But the restart is going to be all important. We've been talking about King. Let me put you in King's car for a second, the number 17. He's 7th at the moment, Bruce, and he's got to get up at Lisboa, and he's got to try and, if he can, get into the top 5, top 4. How does he do it?
Yeah, but that's the thing with a restart. You have all the opportunity of catching. There's no more gaps between the cars, and you can catch the toe of the car in front of you. You get a big toe, you can overtake 2 cars. So this is the opportunity for all the guys that are actually quick at the moment and trying to make a move up the field to have a good restart and overtake cars. But what surprises me is that the safety car is extremely slow. Look at this. Drives at 30 Ks, probably to get the track clear for a restart on the next lap. So they have an extra 2 laps.
Yeah, it is a very slow safety car, isn't it?
Very slow.
And that can't help as a driver because you're worried, seriously worried about the temperature dropping in those tyres.
So when exactly, you need to keep some speed in to get temperatures into the tyres. And we will know when the safety car will come back in, when the lights will be turned off on top of the safety car, which is not the case now. Anyways, they should turn them off towards the end of the circuit, I think at the exit of the Melco hairpin, and then it's all down to the leader to give the pace for the restart. Lucas Ower in front of Rosenqvist, then Blomqvist. We haven't spoken too much about Blomqvist, but he was quickest in FP1, and he was flying at the beginning of the week, and I think we have to keep an eye on him as well.
And Alan, he's got to be one of the favourites, Blomqvist, for this race.
He certainly has. He had some kind of a problem, I thought, that we saw on his dashboard yesterday in early on in the day, that he had low oil pressure in the car, and all of a sudden his times dropped away. And then he was back on the pace in the afternoon, but he's not been back on that super quick pace that he showed on Thursday yet.
Well, I'll just remind you, as we saw a shot there of Max Verstappen's car, it's far from all over yet. And I'll tell you why. Because he will be at the back of the grid for race 2, as was a Mr. Sebastian Vettel, who rode for Carlin that day, or drove for Carlin that year. And Trevor Carlin was just reminding me yesterday that wonders do happen in Macau. He started at the back and still made the podium.
Yeah, absolutely, and the story repeats itself, because I know so many guys that started not even in the top 20 and they finished on the podium or top 5. My year, Takashi Kogure never came to Macau, started 25th, finished 3rd. So Macau is like this, you can make it back up.
I'm also going to look at Blomqvist's restart, because I've got a feeling that I think he's going to push very hard indeed, because he knows that there's very few chances at Macau to really, it's a double-edged sword. You want to be aggressive, but there's very few opportunities to be so, and if you sit back, you're going to lose out.
And you can see Mary just there passing in front of us, that he keeps a gap so he can push, get some temperature in the brakes, get some temperature to the tires, and we have to have an eye on Mary at the restart.
I know.
He's a fantastic racer. He's going to set himself up for a great
Well,
restart.
and this is where the experience comes in. I mean, all of these guys have got great experience, but when it comes to Macau and how to get it right, Roberto Meri has been there or thereabouts so many times before, and I don't think he was even expected to be here. This is a last-minute call-up with Double R, and he was delighted. I met him on the ferry, and yeah, it just tickled pink to be here. His 5th visit to Macau. He's had a DNF in 2008, 17th in 2009, 8th in 2010, another DNF in 2011. So his record isn't great, but
he was always there.
Close.
Yeah, it's always close. Maybe it's going to be his weekend, his Macau this weekend.
I hope not. I've got to jump off the tower if he wins. I made a bet, stupidly, and I was sober. There's David Kennedy, Theodore Racing. I mentioned him earlier. He's been coming here longer than I have.
They all seem very close to each other. I haven't seen the lights. And
here we go. Green flags wave. It's Lucas Auer's race. To win or lose, Rosenqvist will try and get a last bit of temperature into the tyres. The restart so essential here at Macau, and away we go down the main straight and past our commentary position. Rosenqvist gets away well, so does Auer though, and Blomqvist in 3rd.
Very good restart from Auer. He surprised everyone, did that very early, but will that be enough for Rosenqvist to not take the tow? I don't know. It seems to me that he's getting closer. Yes, he's already in the tow. They're all in the tow.
Yeah, the question is, have they got enough tow to go to Lisboa? This lap is so essential. You may not get this chance again. This is such an important corner. Here we go. And Rosenqvist, look at the tow he got. And into the lead goes the Swede. Brilliantly done. Fantastic stuff. He used the ability of that tow to take the lead, and in he goes at San Francisco. Rosenqvist leads, and everybody shuffling position, and you called it again, Bruce. That was the opportunity. Boy, did he take it.
Mary didn't have a good restart. He was actually leaving a gap and hoping he could get a little bit of momentum, but that's not the case. So we have now Rosenqvist followed by Auer, and then Blomqvist, who had a good restart, safe, clean. Ocken had to try to move around the outside, but he did make it, saved his 4th position. And here they are back into the mountain section now.
And Alan, you know Lucas, he's going to be furious.
He's not going to be happy about that. And Felix Rosenqvist, meanwhile, is able to stretch his legs. Look at this. Having got that super restart, he's being signature cool at the wheel of that car. He's got into the lead of the race. He is now diligently pulling away from Lucas Auer, who is not going to be able to bring down the gap between himself and Felix Rosenqvist. On the contrary, he's having to deal with the fact that Tom Blomqvist is all over the back of him. So it's going to be a defensive job now for Lucas Auer. And it really is
he's
a
got
very
3 or 4
good
guys
job.
behind him, hasn't he?
He has. The queue is behind Auer. He's back in 2nd place, and Rosenqvist is fair moving away.
Yeah, Rosenqvist is the quickest on track. He has the fastest lap so far, and he's flying in the mountain section. He's been
That's the key, yeah.
class, yeah.
So then, what an intriguing race. Max Verstappen already out. Rosenqvist on a flyer, having not got the best of starts at the start of the race, but has recovered well and now leads this race as they come past our commentary position again. He's picked it up, and he does a 2:12.9, so much quicker than Auer, 2:13.0, and another crash. And it's one of the Carlin boys.
It could be Giovinazzi.
It's Giovinazzi.
Oh, and Giovinazzi had such promise, and I think this pretty much ends the qualification race because they can't get round at race pace through there. Will we get another overtake before? Here we go. Yeah, Ocon trying to get in the slipstream. Ocon jives to the outside on Blomqvist.
Everybody's locking wheels. Oh, yeah, and behind.
Cassidy wants a piece of it.
Yeah, Cassidy's just right up there. He had all wheels locked, but he caught them up big time, and he's now as well in the tow and in the contention for that position on the podium.
Hats off again to Cassidy. He's not trying to be clever, not trying to make aggressive moves, just hung in there, and he's right where he needs to be for tomorrow's race in 5th place. New Zealand, you better get up early. He's going to be there. And what a race this has turned out to be. Rosenqvist, Sweden better get up early too, and Austria too, because Blomqvist, Auer, Ocon, Rosenqvist, these are the names we're touting to be the possible winner of the Macau Grand Prix. Roberto Meri still in the mix, so too is Latifi, King and Sorellis. Coming down to the closing section of this qualification race now, and Rosenqvist has really stolen a march is the only way I can describe it at the restart of this race ahead of his rivals. Lucas Auer looked like he had this one in the bag. He got a great start, but then classic Macau, that's the hard part about this long straight at Macau, is that you're a sitting duck. There's nothing you can do when somebody sucks in, takes the air away, gets the slipstream, and he literally flew by. On board with Ocon.
And that's going to be, they're going to be starting the last lap after those two corners. They're going to Fisherman Bend, and it's the last two corners are very fast corners. That's where you set yourself up for a tour. But you see there's a nice gap between all the cars. I don't think we will see an overtaking maneuver, but Cassidy is not far from Ocon.
Gonna say maybe one last throw of the dice for Cassidy, maybe. Last lap then here at Macau. It's the 61st running of the Macau Grand Prix, and it's already turning into a classic. Max Verstappen, the man that everybody's been talking about in motor racing worldwide, didn't make it from the get-go, but he'll be in the race tomorrow, and they fixed that car. But it's Felix Rosenqvist of Sweden who leads this race from Lucas Auer. Oh, a little lock up there again, but he's through.
They're both pushing very
hard.
You can see that Lucas Auer is actually made a fantastic first sector and the quickest last sector, so he's getting closer. We're going to have a fantastic fight tomorrow because Lucas Auer is very fast as well, just as fast as Rosenqvist, and it's going to be a fantastic race tomorrow. But this one is not finished. Sorry, I'm going a little bit too fast.
Yeah, Cassidy is the one I was watching because he was all over the back of Ocon. And this is the European champion, remember. Cassidy may be a champion in New Zealand, but to be champion of Europe against the competition that Ocon has had this year, and also moving on, Formula One and Lotus. So these are big targets to take into consideration. There's a lot of these guys who are already vetted for the top. We know about Verstappen, but many others are connected with Formula One teams as well. But that's what Macau is all about.
I'm sure that Rosenqvist tyres are going to be particularly comfortable at the end of this race, aren't they? He's doing a very good job.
He won't be using them tomorrow, will he?
He certainly will not. No. And at the moment he's doing a perfect job of just keeping it neat, keeping it tidy, and not allowing an opportunity for Auer to close that gap any further. This could be absolutely critical. He's on the final lap. Felix Rosenqvist leads just from Lucas Auer, and Tom Blomqvist in third.
Wasn't it Rosenqvist and Guildenstern from the Shakespeare play? Well, this has been the drama likely of a Shakespeare play, because Rosenqvist has played it out and he has done superbly. He comes into Arben for the final time of the qualifying race and dominates here, takes the checkered flag. Felix Rosenqvist wins in Macau, but now he has to do it all again. Lucas Auer came so close, but it wasn't his hour in the end. But his time just may come tomorrow. Blomqvist of Great Britain comes in third, and that's a good result. Ocon of fourth. Cassidy brilliantly. The debut man is in fifth place ahead of Merry in sixth. Latifi in seventh. King is eighth. Sorellis ninth. Coletti. And if we've learned nothing, Bruce, about this race over the years, that is one thing. It's a great race. It's a good result. But it isn't over by any means yet.
No, all is to be done tomorrow. Today, those guys, they've just put themselves in a good position for tomorrow. Obviously, starting in the first 2-3 rows, it's ideal, but then you have to do it all again. And as we saw Rosenqvist pass on the previous lap, he locked the wheels again, and that's from earlier on in the race when he tapped the brakes, had a massive lockup at the front, and he still had these wheels like were pretty much squared, I guess, and it was not an easy task for him to bring the car back winning like this, and he did a very good restart. He went and got that win. But as we saw, again, sorry talking, but starting on pole doesn't give you such a great advantage in Macau. So Blomqvist starting third tomorrow is going to have a fantastic tour and could be a
very good point.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Yeah, I'm not sure I'd want to start in pole. Yeah, for that reason alone.
Yeah, then there's the old red flag that can happen in the race, and you have a chance for a restart as we saw today. As we see Merry driving around slowly, I don't know if he's just picking up rubber. He's just picking up rubber to make sure that the car is heavy enough. He's coming from DTM there, driving with such light cars on the edge, on the weight side, so now he's just picking up.
Well, I'm impressed with Merry because he's never driven the modern Formula 3 car with the paddle shifts either, and that's not an easy thing to get used to. So in other words, he hasn't been driving these cars all year, and he has never driven this particular type of car. So it's a hats off to him. He's had to learn it over the weekend. I'm also impressed with Scandinavian drivers, full stop. Rosenqvist, you know, when you come from somewhere like Sweden, where there aren't, you know, a bunch of different tracks to go to, like France and like Great Britain, you know, it's so much harder, and you therefore have to plough your furrow somewhere else. And he's done that around the world. You know, Renault Champion Challenge in Asia, won that. Formula 2.0 champion in Asia, came here for a long time, so he knows this part of the world, but he's then had to go around Europe, German Formula 3, and now the European Championship. So, you know, hats off to him to be able to literally leave his home and travel around the world to do what he wants to do.
And when you come to Macau as a multiple visitor to Macau, when you come this many times, you must be thinking this year it has to be a top
this is the one.
podium. Nothing else he's going to do this weekend, and he did that in fine style. The thing that really impresses me is that he was able to do so on tyres that were not exactly absolutely perfect.
What impresses me more is how he's bounced back from a crash that could have ended the confidence of most drivers. He was in the wall.
He was in the wall, yeah, it's true. But he is so much faster than anyone in the mountain section. He's so in sort of way easy there compared to the others, that I think that he has a bit of a gap to anyone else. And if he ends up leading, as we just saw, even with tyres which are not in the best shape, bum, he's gone.
Yeah.
A word for the team, Muka Motorsports, the Dallara, Mercedes. There was a lot of consternation about which was the right engine to have, the Volkswagen, the Mercedes, or another Tom's possibly. Your thoughts on the team?
Well, the team is, I mean, always the same. Prema has been competitive all the time. Carlin has been competitive. Muka has been competitive. They're the top teams. Signature has just made their way back in, and they have a fantastic record here in Macau with 3 wins, 3 actually, 1-2, and they're back. So unfortunately, they didn't have a great result. Will Buller was driving for them today. They have only 1 car, but yeah, it's difficult to choose between those 3 top teams really. Seems that the Muka car is not bad.
Quick glimpse there of Barry Bland, the man who is responsible. I want to give him some credit. Over the years, almost 30 years, he's been bringing these youngsters and almost handpicking them and inviting them to be part of this event. And he works tirelessly to make this grid as good as it is every year. And he and his team have done a splendid job to make Macau what it is.
If someone were to have looked at the grid and then look at the result for the top 4, they're in the same order. It doesn't really tell the story of the race. You
Certainly
have
doesn't,
no idea that all of that happened.
Well, except there's one big missing name in that, and that, of course, well, he wasn't in the top bowl, but certainly in the
Just
results.
outside, yeah.
There's Nick Cassidy, if you don't know him. Saw his parents last night. They're pinching themselves. They can't believe they're here.
It's amazing. A first experience for him here, right?
Yeah.
But
never been here.
Very good achievement.
But he's a classic example, and I'll be brutally honest here. He doesn't have the cash to go racing.
Yep.
If he makes it here, if he's noticed here, it's because of his raw talent, and he should be noticed here because he's just not been able to get to that next step. And I think of Kubica, and I think of several other drivers who've come here. There's Lucas. Yeah, well, polite handshake, but he won't be happy. I can assure you. That's Blomqvist.
Good on him. Good on Cassidy if he can make a good name for himself.
But he deserves it. He deserves it, and Toyota deserve a big pat on the back for getting him as close to this as they have done with their series, because it's been a great stepping stone for young drivers, especially Kiwis. And we only, I mean, you know, I'm stunned when I look at what Brendan Hartley's doing, you know, what Mitch Evans is doing. So many of them. Earl Bamber, what a season that man's had. Another man who's here this weekend, winning the Super Cup. There's Rosenqvist, there's the smile.
First time we've seen him.
I know, he's a very laid-back character, but he's a super character. I said to him yesterday, I said, is this it? He said, I hope so. So then, the result of the qualification race. Rosenqvist, Auer, Blomqvist. That's the top three. Ocon, Cassidy, Merry, Latifi, and Jordan King. That's your top 8 here at Macau in 2014. But it's not over by any means. But it's a great result for those contending to be the champion in 2014. Sorellis still in the hunt in 9th. Coletti 10th. Fuaco 11th. Ferrucci, the American, in 12th position. Could he come from nowhere for Fortec and do something special? Kanemaru could also be someone to watch for Carlin. Yamashita just behind him. I'll get his name right before the end of the weekend. And Martin Chow, I know him. Spike Goddard of Australia. Marcus Pommer. Takaboshi. And the local man from Macau, Chang Wing Chung, 21st, and Dan Wells, 22nd. So, McLeod out, Verstappen. My thanks to Bruce Giuani coming in to help us out here as the podium is formed. Those are the top 3, but it's not over yet. No room for celebration and champagne, I wouldn't have thought now, because the job's just half done. And Alan, you know all too well from following this event that you don't get too excited on Saturday night by the proceedings.
Certainly do not. No, an early night is recommended for all, and it'll take a while to calm down the adrenaline. But look at that, the happy smiling face and the qualification race trophy for Felix Rosenqvist. The pole position, and look at the laurels.
For anybody else, I'd be nervous about tomorrow, but Felix has seen it all before, and he's come so close that I don't. And he's a Swede. He's not. He's not having got that Latin temperament where he would start to get too excited by the occasion. I think Rosenqvist could just take a cool night, and Blomqvist too. I don't count him out. Bruce just pointed out the times of the best lap: 2:13.3 by him, a 2:13.0 by Auer, and a 2:12.9 by Rosenqvist. Just a couple of tenths splitting them. In terms of looking ahead to tomorrow, conditions aren't expected to be any particularly different for tomorrow's race, so we're expecting much of the same. But we do have a race on our hands tomorrow, and Verstappen will be in it from the back, so will Buller and all those that did get involved in incidents.
And one thing's for sure, those 3 are going to resume their battle tomorrow. All 3 have come here with only one target, and that's to be on the top step of the podium at the end of tomorrow. Super qualification race action.
We've got some champagne for you. Can we bring on the champagne, please?
So a few photos, and then of course it's the motorcycle race coming up.
Drivers, get together again.
Great way to finish a day of action, and opportunity to hear from the drivers maybe on the podium.
Auer, Blomqvist, Rosenqvist. Tom Blomqvist, remember, has a family of greats in motorsport, of course. Stig, a rally champion of the 80s. Ian Titchmarsh just having a chat with the winner of the race for the crowd, and a massive crowd it is here in Macau. There you go. There's the grandstands at the first corner, and it's been a beautiful day.